My favorite person is Jim Doyle by Anna Brasciano. Jim Doyle was born on May 18, 1922 in Weston, Missouri. He was not born at a hospital, but at his home in the country. He was a healthy baby and had red hair. Jim and his family moved to St. Joseph and lived at 10th and Lincoln. He had one younger sister, and his grandmother lived with his family also. Jim slept in the dining room on a daybed. They did not have a telephone for the first 14 years of his life, and when it came time to take a bath, they had to warm the water over the fire, and each took turns using the same warm water to clean up. Jim and his sister went to Washington School. It was a long walk to get there. Jim was a newspaper boy starting at the age of 14. At the time, he had to pay $25 to buy his family a telephone. It was a line shared by 4 families. They needed it so his newspaper customers could call him if they did not receive the paper. Jim's mom woke him up at 4 a.m. so he could ride his bike to deliver the paper before school. He also delivered an evening paper. The papers cost 25 cents per week. When Jim was not in school or delivering the paper, he would play baseball, football, or walk to the movies with his friends. He also played marbles, but his mom would not let him keep any of the marbles he won. Sometimes, Jim would buy a dozen Cheerios ice cream bars for 40 cents from the Ozenberger ice cream store and go around the wealthier neighborhoods and sell each ice cream bar for 5 cents. He would earn 20 cents per dozen in profit. Jim went to Lafayette High School in St. Joseph, Missouri. His best subject was math. Jim graduated high school in 1940 and bought his first car, a 1931 Chevy Coupe, for $90. He paid the used car lot $10 each month until it was paid off. Jim worked at a dry good company as an elevator operator, but knew he would have to go into the military soon. In 1942, 2 years after his high school graduation, he joined Army Air Corps and was in World War II. Jim was a loadmaster on a C-47 plane. His job was to use a slide rule to make sure that the plane was loaded properly and the fuel and cargo were distributed evenly. This was important for safety. He was in the Army for 3 years and 2 months. While in the Army, Jim got married to his sweetheart, Stelvita. They married in 1944 before he had to go overseas with the Army. When Jim got out of the Army, he and Stel moved back to St. Joe. Only 2 weeks after getting out of the Army, he was working at a bank. This is when Jim found his passion. He liked the people he met and helped while at the bank. He worked in all aspects of banking, starting in the transit department, then bookkeeping, teller, loans, and then management. He met tons of people along the way and also took classes at Missouri Western to help his skills. Jim was a banker for over 38 years. One time, during his time as a manager, he had a very exciting experience at the bank.
Well, I was sitting at the front desk, and the office was this was the first office that you came to when you walked into the main entrance. You walked in the front door, and here comes this fella in with a ski mask on and a .38 pistol in his hand.
Was this before the bank opened in the morning?
No, the bank was open.
The bank was open.
It was at noon.
Oh, okay.
Noon. There were 2 people working up at the cashier's window, and myself, and there were just the 3 of us in there at the time. So he pointed the gun at me, and I was on the phone. He motioned for me with the gun. He motioned me to get up. I got up, then he motioned me to turn around, and he stuck that gun in my back.
Oh my gosh.
And wanted me to walk up to where one fellow was kind of auditing, and the Lana was the gal, and she was the cashier. And they were working up there where the money was. So he just marched me up there. Well, Bob Sanders was the guy that was there, and he thought it was a joke.
Oh, no.
Oh, he thought, I said, Joe. I said, Bob, this is not a joke. And so he made us As all three lay on the floor while he emptied the cash drawers. He had a sack of some kind with him. And so he dropped some currency of some kind. He had on gloves, and he reached down, and that currency landed just about on my ear, and he reached down there and grabbed that, put it in the bag. Then he told this other fellow and I to march towards the vault. He'd unlock us in the vault.
Oh my God.
And he told Lana, who was the gal, he said, "You go in the men's restroom and disrobe." And so he locked us in the vault. And then Bob wasn't used to being in that building. I was supposedly the manager. And I said, "Bob, don't worry about it. We can get out of the vault. I know how to get out of the vault." But when we were in, we just gotten in the vault, hadn't been there too long. And he'd locked the door. And Bob said, "I heard a gunshot." And I said, "I didn't hear anything." So I opened the door and we crawled on our hands and knees around. He went one way and I went the other, and I went towards where Lana was, the men's restroom. He shot me. And so I got him up. She said, "Yeah, he's gone." So what happened when he got to Lana, she had not disrobed. She wasn't excessively overweight, just a good built, large girl. She says, "I don't disrobe for anybody." And he had his finger on the trigger, and they got in a scuffle. And of course, he put the pressure on the trigger, and that gun went off and hit the ceiling of the men's restroom and ricocheted back and caught her just a little bit in her right breast.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy.
So did you call the ambulance then, or?
No, I didn't call the ambulance. I just said, "Lana, come on, let's go." I told Bob, I said, "Bob, you lock the
You mean
bank
she
up."
was able to get up and go?
Oh yeah, and I just rushed her to the hospital, took her in the car to the hospital, and I met the police, everybody on the way.
I picked Jim Doyle as my favorite person because he is the most amusing, kind, and encouraging person I know. His life has been one of helping people and always having a smile and kind word. Every time I go to visit him, it truly warms my heart. My parents met Jim when he was their landlord, and they rented a small house from him for close to 10 years. Jim and Stell became a part of their family, and I have always enjoyed hearing stories of the fun and funny times they all had together. I've known Jim so long that I sort of consider him a grandpa to me. He is always interested in hearing about my week and what I am doing in school and with all my music and other activities. I love Jim very much and sure enjoyed getting to know him even better through this project.